Peace and blessings. This is the True Lioness, Ashaki Ali, Coach Ali, or whatever you choose to call me. And I'm coming in with a short video. I posted on my Instagram yesterday that I would expound upon the topic of transformation and how oftentimes if you're seeking to rebuild, of course, things must be destroyed. So yesterday, my youngest son, he celebrated his 6th birthday. And during the time that he was born, it was a very precarious and tumultuous time, so to speak. Um, he was born, of course, in November. And months prior to his birth, I had federal agents in my house. The marriage that I was in at the time, it definitely was over way prior to that. And not long after his birth, I experienced some of the toughest times in my life. Everything that I thought was solid had been shaken to the core and broken down. But what that caused me to do, it forced me into a position to begin to make different decisions and to begin to take more risk. I had always, well, not always, but at that particular time of my life, I was pretty much trying to fit into what I felt was normal or was what was going to be a stable environment for my children. So I was looking at, working towards purchasing a home. I was already working pretty much and I was settled in my position, even though I always wanted more. The marriage I was in, no, it was not perfect by any means. But when you're a parent or a mother and you have multiple children, you may transcribe to the belief that nobody else will desire you because you have these children. And that's pretty much in my mind, that's what I thought. That's how I felt at the time. I'm vastly different. But at that time, that's who I was. I was a member of organized religion. That was a huge part of my life. And so, organized religion tells you to pray your way through, that one of the gifts of the Spirit is long suffering. And then just because of things that I had done in my youth when I was a younger woman, I almost felt like I deserved some of what I was being dealt, the hand I was dealt. And I used to be one of my favorite phrases was, I got to play this hand that I've been dealt the best way I can. And I was raised with people that had not experienced, that had experienced, very severe struggle and strife, and they accepted that as what life is. And so it took for me to begin to step out of my own comfort zone of, okay, I live here, I work here, I go to church here. These are the people that I associate with. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and that's it. That's the summation of my life. This is what it is. When the federal agents came into my home and my now ex-husband, was taken out of the home, it was just me and my children, and I was faced with the dilemma of what now? Everything that had been, I was going to church and I was listening to what was being said, but in my heart of hearts, I was like, yo, this is a bunch of bullshit. I've done everything that you have placed before me that so-called makes you a good Christian, and yet everything that I've been trying to do is like it's crumbling in my hand. It was like sand in my hand, and it was just, nothing was solid. Everything was just seeming like my money was funny. I was struggling. The family members that had been so present in my life, they disappeared. The mutual friends that my husband and I had, they disappeared for the most part, except for a few people that I still am very close to this day. But a lot of those people got missing. It was devastating, to say the least. It was devastating. And then to have my children, who were very small at the time, have to be had to question me as to, where is my dad, or what are we going to do. They could tell that I was, you know, stressed out. It was apparent. And so, push come to shove, I gave birth to my last baby. He was a few months old. His dad is taken. I had to start restructuring my life. So, one big pivotal occurrence was I began to seek out other employment. I started looking for other jobs, but I was looking for jobs in Georgia because my intention was to move in the Atlanta area. I wanted to live, in the suburbs and work in the city and rebuild from there. I knew that I had to get out of the town that I was living in. I knew that was a must. Well, I created a brand new resume. I was working toward my graduate degree at the time, my MBA, but I had already attained my bachelor's degree, and I graduated cum laude, so I had honors, and I'm an intelligent woman, so I figured, hey, put myself out there a little bit. I had been a nurse for many years, and that's all I had known. I wanted to do something different, so I started taking risks. Sent the resume out, and one day as I was leaving work, I got a call from Lincolnshire, Illinois. And at first, initially, I was afraid to answer the phone because I was like, this is probably a bill collector. But my spirit told me, answer the phone. I answered the phone, and there was a recruiter from a company that I ended up eventually working for at a site in Charlotte, North Carolina. When I interviewed for the job, I didn't even know what the job really entailed, to be quite honest. I don't even remember applying. I really think that the recruiter found my resume and reached out to me because I never applied for that job. Nevertheless, I interviewed for the job the following week after I received the phone call. They called me. I went in on a Thursday. They called me on Monday and offered me the position. Now, the position was temp to contract, which meant I would be giving up a full-time job with benefits to go into a position with no benefits, no security. It was basically put in front of my face as, you prove yourself, we'll hire you. If you don't perform up to a certain level, we'll have to let you go. I sat on it over the weekend, and I said, you know what? If I don't begin to take more risk, my life is not going to change. So I took on the job. I began to work in June. On June 10th of 2013 is the first day I worked at that job. And I had to we went into the job as trainees because we had to within 2 weeks' time, we had to test to get our life, health, and accident insurance because the job was an insurance position where we were going to be doing consultative sales. So went in and gave it my all, passed my exams first time, became a licensed insurance agent. We helped to launch that pilot program in Charlotte because that had never been done in there, in that area. It was really a testing. But because of our performance, the first classes that went through, they established themselves in Charlotte. So then it was a task of moving because now I have a job there. For 9 months, I traveled back and forth from Charlotte to my home, looking for someone to be for my children and I, and and I was in a new relationship as well during that time. But we did move. It was awesome. I, gained a lot of awesome friends who I'm still very close to. I was able to really be confronted with, who am I? Who are you? And what do you want out of your life? I had stepped away from writing years prior. I picked that pen back up and I started writing. I published several books, and a couple of books I did with other writers, poetry books, and one poetry book I published, just me. I have a couple projects right now that I'm working on. but it's no rush. I really want to take my time with it. I found reignited the activism side of myself during the time that I left where I was. And then I discovered that some truths that moved me from being a religiously driven person for the most part, even though in my heart of hearts I always felt that that was not the path for me, and began to explore spirituality, and that has transformed my life. I ran a 5K marathon and I won. There was a lot that happened from 6 years ago up until this point. But the woman that you see sitting here in this chair speaking to you today has literally turned, I've literally restructured my life in such a way as, my confidence is up here. There's nothing that I desire to do that I don't feel I can do. I never felt that way before. I know exactly what I want from a relationship, from my career, from my, my spiritual life, for, as far as who I want to be and the messages I want to tell. And the stories that I have to share with other people. I have come into my own by taking risk. But it all came about through the destruction of the life that I felt was going to be my life for the rest of my life. So things must be destroyed before they can be rebuilt. The old Andrea, she had to die. She had to go away for Ashaki to step forward, because quiet as kept, Andrea had her issues, and I love her, but I don't pity her, but I do feel sorry for her because she was trying to fit into a mold that was never created for her. She was a round peg trying to fit into a square peg trying to fit into a round hole, so to speak. Never fit in, never was a part. I always felt to be on the outside, but that was for a reason. I was never meant or built to be in the status quo or be normal or whatever the hell normalcy is. I never was made for that. I was created for greater. So now I'm settled in that. I accept it fully. I'm happy with it. Right now I'm going through yet another transformation, and it feels great. I feel very good. I'm very centered right now. I'm clear as crystal. My clarity's on 1,000, and I'm able to help other women to see their own innate gifts and to begin to step into their own and to be more confident in that. It's all a journey. Life is a journey. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. And so if you're not progressing, if you're not changing, if you're the same person you were 5 months ago, 5 weeks ago, 5 months ago, 5 years ago, you need to be doing something different, because you shouldn't be stagnated. You shouldn't be stagnant. You should be moving forward. Moving forward. So I wanted to share that to say this. When you're going through things, difficulties, and everything in your life seemingly enough is being rocked, and you're like, this is if things are coming to an end. Like when my marriage came to an end, it really had ended years prior. We just didn't let it go. Some friendships have to end. Some people are not meant to continue with you on a journey. They're only there for a specific amount of time. Some relationships are going to end no matter how much you love a person. Sometimes they just are not going to be able to continue on with you through the duration. Sometimes you just got to let it go. And even yourself, sometimes some old ways and old thoughts have to go. Even though I'm not religious, what I just said reminds me of a Bible verse that says, when I was a boy, I thought boyish things. When I became a man, I put childish things away. You know, sometimes we have to put some things to bed. You know, you can't ever go home, so to speak. Some things you can't pick back up. You can't continue doing. Once you've grown beyond that, that's what it was, that's how it is, and that's it. Like, you should not continue to do the same things you used to do. Hopefully you gained some information and insight into my life and the path that I have been placed upon. Maybe you've been inspired. Hopefully it's causing you to look at your own self. We all have a journey. We've all had experiences and things we have gone through that may have been difficult. We've had great times. We've had sad times. We have traumas. But is what you've gone through, how are you applying what you learned to your life now to make it better? Have you gained wisdom through what you have experienced at this time? If not, then you need to do an evaluation and figure out why you haven't. If you are still experiencing the same types of struggles, obviously you're not learning the lesson and you need to evaluate some things. If you would like to work with me further, please reach out to me on my website. It's www.ashakiali.com, and I'll leave my information at the bottom. If you're not following me on Instagram, I give daily tips on my Instagram page. I'm Coach Ali 17 on Instagram, True Transformation Coach. Over there, I am on Facebook. My business page is True Transformation Life and Health Coaching Services, even though that is not, it is so much more broad than that, but that is the page. And then my personal page is Ashaki Ali. You can send me a friend request as long as there's no nonsense. I'll be glad to speak to you there. You can message me from my business page as well. You can DM me on Instagram. I'm available. I'm ready to work. I'm also taking speaking engagements. If you would like for me to come speak to your group or any events that you have planned, please reach out to me. You can email me or message me directly. I'll give you my direct email address and when I answer or respond to the quickest. Other than that, you guys have an awesome day, a dope day. I hope everything that you have in your desire, the things that you're desiring for today, I hope they occur. Peace, love, and abundant light. Until the next time, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll holler at y'all later.